And we are live. JT here. Welcome to The Huddle. The Huddle is where I sit down with successful people from the world of sport and coaching. It's to learn more about their journey to greatness. Why do I have these conversations? Because success always leaves clues. I want to take a moment to thank you. Whether you are watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, or whether you're listening to the audio on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me and my special guest today. And here's my friendly reminder to you. The mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's wide open. So my challenge to you is to go all in on this conversation, to remove any distractions and get laser focus on the here and the now. And I guarantee you, you will gain a valuable nugget of wisdom that will not only help you succeed in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. I've been looking forward to my conversation with my special guest today. I was blessed to meet him about a year ago, I think it was, at a Football Toronto meeting. And right off the hop, we had a few moments after the meeting to speak. And I just knew there was something about him that really drew me in. And some of the things we were talking about were, I just felt a deeper connection. My guest in the huddle today is a former Toronto Argonaut alum. He is also currently serving as the Director of Performance and Player Relations with Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment. My guest in the huddle today is Matt Black. How are you today, brother?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Definitely, brother. Again, I've been looking forward. And before we get kicked off, pun intended, I just want to take a moment to count my blessings. And for me, counting my blessings is a daily practice. Some days I do it better than others, but I do find the days I'm most consistent counting my blessings, that those days are typically filled with, more joy, more calm, and more peace. So I'm a firm believer that the biggest blessing you can give anyone is your time and energy. So thank you for blessing me with some of your time and energy today, brother.
No problem. And thank you for inviting me here and opening up this space for me. It's really, really appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the first things that I like to do in the huddle is to remind others and myself that life is a game and games are supposed to be fun. So I'm curious, what's an interesting fact that maybe a lot of people don't know about you that you'd be open to sharing with our community today?
I am like an amateur cook. I love to cook. I am I just like super passionate about food. I love food. I'm a foodie. So, one of the joys that I found playing in the CFL was traveling to all these different cities across Canada and finding just amazing restaurants in Montreal and Calgary and Vancouver, Ottawa, just like finding different little nuggets in all these different cities and go and grab a good bite. Try to drag some of my teammates along. A good teammate of mine, a really close friend, Jonathan Hood, and I both were big foodies. So we would roommate on the road and like we would just go off and have like awesome meals here. We had some pretty epic meals on the road. Calgary had this paella that was like, man, the thing must have been like 3 foot wide, the plate that it came on. It was huge. It took like 4 or 5 people to eat. But so just I love food. I love to cook. So foodie, big foodie.
Okay. It kind of allows me to connect the dots because I have seen on some of the things that you share on social, seems to be, there are times I'm like, oh, okay, we're food.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, what is it about food? Like, again, there is something very special about like sitting down and breaking bread with someone. I'm not sure what it is, but I can definitely, it definitely resonates with me. Is there something about cooking that really speaks to you?
Yeah, it's just to me, I find it's an opportunity like just to bring people together, especially like your loved ones, your family. I have my place, and Christmas and Easter and New Year's, like birthdays, just cook a huge meal, have your family around and just sit down. It's memories that I have from my childhood. Some great memories, sharing food with family and friends. And it's kind of in my blood. My Opa was a baker. So I remember family baking a lot, and some pretty elaborate birthday cakes and stuff when I was younger. My daughter loves baking, so it's kind of great because we can kind of be the tandem. She's really starting to love cooking and dive in, but she can make a really cool elaborate dessert, and I can make a dinner, and then everyone's full and you've got some good quality time. So it's just for me, it's really about the family time. Bringing people together, like you mentioned, like breaking bread with people. There's something about it when you share a meal with somebody. I think you can connect. There's something common that you relate to. There's an experience that you have together. Whether it be going out for a really nice dinner or just, preparing a meal at home. It can be as elaborate as you want, or it can just be super, super simple, right? So it's for me, it's so versatile, because if it's a busy school night, you can make some food and watch the Leaf game or a Raptors game, or, Argos TFC game, watch some sports and enjoy some food. Or, my dad's birthday was on the weekend and we went out for a really great dinner. So just little things like that, where it's just those life moments where you get to slow down and appreciate things, appreciate the people that you have around you. And to your point, count your blessings, be grateful for, the food that you have and the people that you have. And so for me, it's, that's what brings me joy from cooking and sharing meals with people.
I love that. And it's interesting. And what hearing you share, what it really reminded me, and that's the power of food, of sport, right? They are these opportunities to build bridges with others, right? And you can sit down, it's a common language. I mean, who doesn't love a great meal? Who doesn't love watching a great, game, right? So it's interesting, the parallels between food and sport. So I'm curious, you have had a very diverse set of experiences in sport, right? You were first a high quality athlete, and now you've transitioned into the world of, high quality sports, but you're looking at it more from the business side of things. So it's very obvious that sport has played an important role for you in your life. I'm curious, what is a valuable life lesson that you've taken away from sport? Again, I know there's many of them, but what is that one lesson that you find that you still apply to your life today?
Wow. That's great. I've learned so many from sport. As you mentioned, I've played so many sports, I've had so many experiences, but one that really sticks out is serving, what you can do for others, right? I think about the teams that I've been on that won championships. Everybody served each other. It wasn't about my individual accolades. It wasn't about, how big my contract was or the stats that I accumulated that year. We had a common goal, and that common goal was the highest priority for every person in that organization. That's what it felt like on those teams, right? And for me in life, it translates very well to life, because the times in life when things are the best, I find for me, is when you're working together with people at a common goal. Sometimes you have to sacrifice, sometimes they have to sacrifice, but you all know that this is for the betterment of the whole. And you have a common goal, something you're working towards. Those to me are the sweet spots in life, right? When you're with people, you feel you're all have this, a common purpose. There's something that you're bigger than yourself that you're working for. And to me, that is such an important and valuable lesson that sport has given me. It's interesting because I've spent so much of my life immersed in sports that I don't know where people get their lessons from outside of it, because all these things that have happened to me in sports, you know, it's like a microcosm of life. And they manifest themselves outside. And when you have success and you do things and you become regimented, you have a routine, and you're focused and you're dialed in, and you sacrifice other things for the betterment of the team, of yourself, then these amazing doors open for you. You accomplish things you never thought you could, you know, and that happened to me professionally, and then they translate into my personal life, and then those doors open. So it's like, it's been such a learning journey for me playing sports. I feel so grateful for the opportunity I had to play, you know, professionally for 10 years. You know, I played the game of football for 20 years, 5 in high school, 5 in university, and then, you know, 10 years professionally. And I'm just so eternally grateful to the game of football for opening the doors it has for me and giving me the opportunity, the platform. I am really, you know, very humbled by when I think about my journey from an inner city kid to where I am today. I'm very, very grateful for all the game has given me.
I love what you shared, and I love how you simplified it down to the basic. It's serving is playing something bigger than yourself, right? It's identifying that common goal, that common connector, and everyone sort of investing their time and energy to get there. So I'm curious, you know, you were blessed to win 2 Grey Cups as a player. You know, this past season, you were able to experience it at this phase of your journey, right in the front office. I'm curious, could you, upon reflection, did you find that there was that deep sense of, hey, this is bigger than myself? This is about all of us. What was that a common connecting? Was that a common theme on each of those 3 teams?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think, you know, I think my perspective has shifted each time I've had an opportunity to win. You know, my first one, I remember the off season before in 2011, going into 2012, in the gym working out and like wondering, like, am I ever gonna win a championship? Am I gonna be a guy that plays and never wins? I want to feel that, like, that feeling of exhilaration. And you know, that year we had some success, and just, you know, the coaching staff, what they gave to that team, the players on that team, seeing people buy in and really genuinely rooting for other people's success. I remember, you know, that was Chad Owens' year that he was, you know, MOP and broke the all-purpose yards record, and just being able to help him accomplish that goal and what that did for our team, and see people pour into him and see how much he poured into our team for us to have success, was just, you know, that was like that first time where I was like, really like, wow, like everyone is really doing things for others here, right? We're doing for Chad's doing for us. You know, Ricky Ray's here, like Andre Dury, Foley. You know, we had such a great team, and everyone was just pouring into one another. And then you win, and it's like, wow, you get over that hump of, you know, I'm never going to win. Now you're Grey Cup champion. Your name is on the trophy, right? And feel a sense of accomplishment. 2017, you know, I remember playing with guys like Rico Murray and Cassius Vaughn and Bear Woods, guys that had never won a championship, right? Like Rico had been to like 4 or 5 Grey Cups or something like that and lost every single one. Bear had played whatever, 9, 10 years of pro football and never won a championship. And being able to help them overcome that like hurdle, and understanding the importance of it to someone who had spent so much time into the game and devoted so much. I knew I was going to get another ring, and that's great, but just seeing the joy on their faces of what that sense of accomplishment does to round out their career and how it made them feel, for me was the, you know, that really solidified, like, this is where the impact is, helping other people accomplish their goals, right? That is really, when you can enable others, that is where like true joy was for me, right? Helping other people accomplish that. And that really, this year was, 2022 was the same thing, but it's just from a broader scale, right? I have an opportunity to help our players accomplish their goals, but it's more from a behind the scenes perspective, right? Enabling, making sure that breaking down some of the barriers, trying to make things easier on the back end. So on the front end of things, they can focus, their focus can be where it needs to be. They have the gym equipment that they need. They have the, the day-to-day creature comforts that they need to help focus them and help hopefully ease that path. They have to go out and do the hard work, and the players are the ones that are on the field sacrificing, making the plays and doing all the little things. It's more from a behind the scenes perspective, just organizationally helping, making sure things are in order, that when things are needed, they're available to them, to the players, to the staff. And I got so much joy in that like preparation part of it. And that to me is, more of that 2017 feeling, just like seeing people overcome that, that hurdle. Just, seeing Ryan, our head coach, after the game, and just seeing just the pure joy in him of, his first championship as a head coach, right? Such a young head coach going through the pandemic, new coaching staff, all the things he's had to deal with, and understanding that it's just been awesome. It's just been absolutely amazing. And I'm really grateful to have the perspective and the vantage point that I do have.
I appreciate you, opening up the locker room and giving us some insight into what actually goes behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting that as you share that, I love how you identified it's about identifying the barriers, right, that are preventing people from going where they want to go. So I thought that was a really interesting point that you made there. But then too, it's like you said, that as you play this game of life, as you gain this valuable lived experience and you gain this wisdom, when you start to utilize your gifts, your talents, and your abilities to remove those barriers for others so that they can get to where they want to go faster and with greater ease, mm-hmm. that truly is the definition of a rich and fulfilling life. So I love how you shared that.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel it's just a real sense of gratitude. And I think that those feelings are what, to me, at my stage in life where I am, that's what's important, right? Mm-hmm. Is feeling that gratitude. And I find that the people around you are doing well. You tend to do well as well, right? The people that you love and care about, they're doing well. I do well. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you mentioned before that you've gained this insight, you've gained this wisdom along your journey. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, for myself, I felt the same way. It was probably once I had kids that I felt my perspective in life started to shift. I started thinking more globally, I think I just developed a greater sense of empathy for others. What has that experience been like for you? Just seeing that you can create wins in life. And that's like the essence of what we're here to do.
It's really, it's taught me just to be grateful, not to take things for granted. And the importance of celebrating your wins, right? Be proud of your accomplishments, but don't be satisfied, right? I think that's the thing, is that, true greatness is just about, in this sense, it's just about, being appreciative. Like, the small wins are important too. The small wins, the daily wins are important, right? And they ladder up to the larger goals. When I think of it from a football perspective, you don't win the Grey Cup on the first day of training camp, right? But it's about the day-to-day grind. It's about trusting the process. It's about falling in love with the process. It's about doing things the right way for 180 consecutive days to give yourself that opportunity to be at that stage, right? And if you don't do things well along the way, those opportunities won't open up for you later in life. For me, the same thing in life. It's, the daily wins. It's about spending time with my daughter, doing things, making memories. Those little daily wins ladder up to, 20, 30, 40 years from now, right? The big wins that you want, right? So for me, I just take it, just age old saying, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? It's just focusing on the here and now. We're getting too freaked out about the future and what happens later. Cross those bridges when you get there, but do what you can do right now. Find a way to get a win, celebrate that win right now, and then turn your focus to the next one. And I find when I do that and I keep that perspective, my bucket is full. I feel more fulfilled, right? When I retired, I picked up biking, right? And it's just about, one of my good high school friends bikes with a bunch of guys, and these guys are like, they blow me out the water, man. They drop me, and I'm just like, I call myself the draft king because I just stay behind these guys and I draft them and I hold on for dear life. But just accomplishments, like doing my first 50K ride with these guys. We went and we did a ride to raise awareness for youth mental health, called the Jack Ride. But it's a 125K ride. It was a huge ride, but just those wins. Sure, my time wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but I finished it. I was happy about it. I never thought that I would be able to do that. I pushed myself, just trying to find ways to compete with myself, better myself, and be grateful for the wins and enjoy the process. I think that is the thing that, often people get bogged down in, and I have myself, but just finding the moments in the process where you just can just reflect and say, man, I've come a long way in the last 2 weeks, in the last 2 months, in the last 2 years, and be grateful for those little wins that will help propel you to the ultimate success. And I think football really taught me to love the process, right? You don't win the Grey Cup on opening day of training camp. You get better every day up until that point where you have that opportunity and you've built up that belief, you've built up that backbone, that resolve to finish the job. And seeing those championship teams being around them, you see them do that naturally in different ways and different forms. And it's inspiring to me.
It's interesting hearing you share. You've brought up the word, gratitude, appreciation, like numerous times. So I can tell right there, that is something that you hold near and dear to your heart. The idea of like finding the appreciation, right? Being grateful for where you are. And what it reminds me is, we live in a world that has programmed us and conditioned us to say, I'll be happy when I win that game on Friday. I'll be happy when I win that championship at the end of the season. I'll be happy, when I get that next client or paycheck. And it's interesting that, okay, all that stuff's great, but really, can you find the peace right here, right now, like you mentioned? And when you do that, I'm a firm believer that that's like the cheat code in life, when you can fully be at peace with, hey, everything, I'm at peace with everything that has happened up to this point. I don't know, like just feels a little bit different.
Yeah, it definitely does. I don't think having that mentality of I'll be happy when is necessarily a bad thing if you frame it right. To your point, I think you need to be cognizant of what you're looking for, right? If you're setting your goals and this is the ultimate goal, then you have to be able to scale back, to your point, and appreciate the here and the now of the journey, and knowing that and having the self-confidence to know this is the path that I'm on, this is where I'm going. Am I where I want to be? No. But I have another opportunity. If today wasn't that good, I have another opportunity tomorrow to be better. And that's the win, right? Is that you got 1%, 2%, 0.5% better than you did the day before. And it's those stacking those wins. And that's what it is. It's stacking those daily wins that add up, ladder up to that ultimate goal of I'll be happy when I win that championship. Yes, there's going to be some failures along the way. Be prepared for that. Just like in life, there's going to be failures. There's going to be things you don't do well, but you can't let those things bog you down and cut your knees out from you, so to speak, right? And take away your motivation, take away your focus of that bigger goal. And I think if your goals are, at least for me, when my goals are for things that are just beyond myself, beyond material things, right? Then I think for me, I feel that sense of purpose. And those, back to my point of the teams that I played on, is like, obviously everybody wants to lead the league in tackles and interceptions and sacks and yards and all that stuff. But that doesn't happen. Like we said, doesn't happen day one. It happens the first day in practice when you show up early and you catch, an extra 20 balls every single day. It happens because, you work on your tackling for an extra half an hour every day, right? And then the ones that you would have missed, you now make. And it's the little things along the way that add up to allow you to have those successes, have that ultimate goal. But, you got to break it down into the micro to accomplish that overall macro goal. So I'm really, I'm a firm believer of just, trying to be here, do the work today. If something doesn't get done, it's okay. Celebrate the win, move on to tomorrow, and then add something else to the, to the to-do list. And then when you keep your nose to the grindstone, you take a second after, have some of these big wins and you look up and you're like, wow, I've come a long way.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious, hearing, I was blessed to hear you speak at our Football Toronto Awards, and I just love the wisdom that you shared with the players, the parents, and the community at large. So what it made me realize is you would have been successful in whatever vocation you chose after you were done your playing days. I'm curious, what drew you into doing what you do now, serving as the director of performance and player relations with MLSE? Like, what drew you there?
I've always had a passion for sport. My first love was baseball. I played baseball growing up, high level baseball. One of my best friends in life, met from playing baseball, played hockey, obviously played football, ran track, played rugby, played baseball in high school. Sport has always been like a center point in my life. It's a place where, when I struggled, I could go and escape. Life always throws twists and turns at you. And it was just a safe space for me to be in some place that I felt comfortable, where I could be myself, where I could, get my need for competition out, and, all of that, like just healthy releases, and it filled my bucket. And I had so many coaches that volunteered and donated time and energy, and money and effort, and sacrificed personal time to pour into me and the other athletes on the teams that I played on. I just understood how important sport was. And I know there's more kids like me out there. So I want to always be close to sports, and there's no better place to do that than MLSE. And to be able to do it with the Toronto Argonauts, and to be able to do it with a team that I spent so much time playing for, and, all the community work that I did, the doors that they opened for me. For me, it was just a natural fit. It allowed me to pursue things that I wanted to do personally, and my own personal goals outside of, the game of football, in my, personal professional desires. But then it also gave me an opportunity to do things and have involvement in things that I just personally loved, which, giving back, right? I was an inner city kid, was born and raised in downtown Toronto. I had great parents that sacrificed a lot for me, but, I'm not not everyone has those opportunities the same that I did. And there was opportunities that were created for me by others. And to be able to help, foster some of that and be a party of that as well is very rewarding for myself. And with the MLSE Launchpad and the great, amazing things that they do there and my involvement that I've had with them, it just felt like a really good place to be. And now, in my current role, being able to also like help the players, right? I've gotten so much joy from that. Just being able to relate to them, knowing guys, that seeing myself in some of the young guys and, even some of the veterans as they kind of get older, and just being able to be a resource, open doors, help create opportunities for them. We have some really bright players that are ambitious, that have a huge passion for this game, that love this city, want to give back, do great things in the community, and be fierce competitors on the field. So, the Argonauts and MLSE giving me that opportunity to kind of tick a lot of those boxes off. So it was a natural fit, and really grateful, really grateful to Bill Manning and the MLSE brass for creating this opportunity for me. So feel really lucky, very fortunate, because I know there's a lot of players that would love to be in my position. So I am grateful for this opportunity, and it's something that through hard work and dedication, it's kind of a door that's open for myself. So I'm very fortunate.
I appreciate you sharing. A couple of things popped up as you were sharing that. It reminded me this idea that every experience in your life, from being a high quality athlete to transitioning out, has allowed you to become this strong and powerful leader you are today. So again, it's funny how those wins that you created on the field have stacked you up and have been able to create this opportunity for you here. And then it also reminded me this idea of you are best positioned to serve the person you once were. So it's really cool to hear that you're able to provide some opportunities, right, for people that were once sitting in the lockers that you were, and help them and serve them along their journey. So I think it's a really like a cool full circle moment.
Yeah, it is. And I really like that saying. I take a lot from sayings, a lot of inspiration. So I haven't heard that one, but that is very true. Very true that you are, best prepared to serve who you once were. I like that sentiment. And I definitely think it's true. And it's humbling, it's humbling to be able to help those, but yet so rewarding, especially, after the year that we had. And you see these men break down on the field when they win a championship. It's just like, this is what it's about. This is why you do it.
I'm curious, you brought up the word rewarding. Has there been an experience that has really, again, it sounds like you've had, you have these on a daily basis. Has there been a moment, let's say in the last, at your time in MLSE in the front office, where you're like, that rewarding, like it's like that one is always near and dear to my heart. It always brings me back to center, brings me back to balance, and reminds me like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing today.
Yeah, there's a few. What I will, I think since I've retired and been on, the business side of things, I think, that definitely the championship sticks out in my mind. Seeing all the hard work that goes into winning a championship from this side of it, as a player, you see what you see when you're at the building, when you're in the building, when you're at the facility. Being on this side, seeing, Ryan's journey from, being hired just prior to the pandemic, missing that whole year, not having his coaching staff with him, in 2021 until he arrived at training camp, not being able to sit down in a room and have a meeting with them, face to face until they arrived at training camp because of COVID protocols and whatnot. you know, to losing in the East Final, to coming back to training camp in 2022 and working through the struggles, the players, you know, Andrew Harris's journey with our team last year, you know, overcoming his injury and coming back, the leadership that he brought, McLeod, everything he's been through on his journey, right? Young guys, you know, Deshaun Amos coming over, leadership, Royce Mechie, Wynn McManus, you know, being such a presence on our defense, being injured, but still being present, still being there for the guys. Enoch Mwamba getting a chance, you know, played against him, known him for years from afar, but now, you know, having a more intimate understanding of, you know, his day-to-day, what goes through his leadership style, you know, working close with Pinball, you know, the scouting staff, Vince, everything that they put into it, seeing all the different moving parts and the pieces and everything that went into it, from my perspective has been, you know, I'm very, you just understand how much bigger of an operation that it is, and how much sacrifice people are making around them in their personal time, with family and friends and whatnot, to allow something like that to happen. You just understand that those are super special moments. And then, you know, just that team, like nobody in the entire province of Saskatchewan thought that we were going to win that game, and just feeling that energy all week and seeing those guys have that resolve and that, you know, that defiance, and not wavering, just seeing them just was like, it's just, you're so grateful just to be around that type of energy, because it's infectious, and it's powerful to see like that success up close like that. It's, you know, it's really awesome. Really, really awesome. Super grateful for that. Yeah.
I love what you share, and it reminds me of this idea. Two things popped up as after you shared. Was one, this idea of, you know, life's all divine timing, right? And it's interesting how you need to walk through the fire sometimes, right? We need to face those adversity, those challenges, those obstacles, because it's actually, you know, as I mentioned before, it's helping us become a stronger, more powerful version of ourselves. Like I remember being at that Eastern Final in 2021 and seeing, you know, that disappointment. But it's interesting how it prepared you to be able to deal with that adversity of walking into a quote unquote hostile environments in Saskatchewan and being like, it's all good, we're good. And so it's really cool that manifested. I mean, it's just that reminder of every success, you must be surrounded by a strong and powerful team. Like there are a lot of people, like you see the things on, you know, we live in a social media driven world where we see the picture with the trophy with the captains, but no, there's a lot of people that have sacrificed, put a lot of focus, reps and sets just to make that possible. So I love that, you know, that global perspective.
Yeah. We, you know, it was really awesome. I had an opportunity to greet the family plane when it arrived in Saskatchewan. And just to see the excitement on their faces, you know, knowing the work that the team had put in up until that point. I think they got there about 24 hours before the game, but just to see them, just the excitement, you know, just like the buzz that they had, and knowing, just feeling that there's a championship feel that a team has, you know, it's just an air of confidence, quiet confidence, looseness, but just like razor focused. We had that, and you can, once you win a championship, once you've been on a team that has accomplished that ultimate goal, you know the feeling. You know the feeling when it's in the air. There's a smell, it's a taste. It's very distinct. And having felt that and seen that in the past and seeing that in them, and then seeing the families come off and the plane and their, you know, their pure joy. You know, you never know what's going to happen on game day, but you understand that these guys are ready. They're ready. And it's a very, it was such a unique perspective to have, spending the week with them and then welcoming all their friends and family that, you know, flew out, was really just, I'm just so grateful for my perspective and the vantage point that I have. Because it's so rewarding to, to play a small part in that, big machine. It's and to be able to see it happen after playing, it's you realize there's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of energy that goes into it, and it makes it just that much more like enjoyable, that much you realize how special it really is.
I'm curious, as a Toronto guy born and raised, I'm curious, like, because you see things from, the CFL, the MLSE, right? The Argos level. But what I love about you is you are sitting at those tables where, you want to be part of the growth and development at the grassroots level, right? Like in the city of Toronto with Football Toronto. I'm curious. I think we're in an interesting time, coming out of the last few years where I think there's a demand, right, for the game. Like the game is growing, right? You just see it based on the number of people that are wanting to be a part. What do you think needs to happen for us really to be able to bless more people with this beautiful game as a way to just show people like football can be a wonderful teaching vehicle to teach these greater life lessons?
Yeah, I think these conversations need to continue to happen, right? I think it's one thing when you're inside the football world and those feelings, you've experienced them, you can relate to those people, right? You understand the importance of the game. You understand what it's done. You understand the camaraderie, the friendship, how deep those connections, those bonds truly are between teammates, between coaches. Like to this day, one of my high school coaches, like I still have communication with this guy, Coach Prisco. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just, the bond there is just everlasting. It's never going to change. I think these conversations need to continue to happen. I think the stories need to continue to be told. And I think we need to bring, people from the outside in and let them experience this game and experience what it does for the youth. As you mentioned, there's so many amazing lessons that happen for this, for young boys and young men. The importance of leadership, really the value of coaches. Like we don't have enough appreciation for coaches and what they're teaching our youth, the important lessons that they're teaching them, celebrating these phenomenal coaches that sacrifice so much of their personal family time. Most high school coaches in Canada are not paid beaucoup large bucks. They are people that love to pour into other people. They love to serve. They love to teach these young boys and these young men's life lessons. And they are so valuable. And, we need to celebrate those ones that are doing amazing jobs and giving these kids, the confidence to face failure, the wisdom to deal with success, right? And the courage to, forge off into the world and to dream big and to not let naysayers and the doubt creep into their mind to stop them from doing amazing things. So I think, this game is I think it's in a growth phase. I just feel it, from, the meetings that we've had, the passion is there, the energy is there, and really hope that we can help spur some of that growth, and to be in my shoes and to understand that I can play a small part in that is, it's inspiring to me. It really is inspiring to me. And I think, the more we have these conversations, the more we share the stories and the value of what it does for lives, for youth, how it brings people together from all walks of life. Sports are the great unifiers to me, right? It transcends race, religion, creed, color, all of those things. You go back in time and, you just look at, like the Olympics, Jesse Owens running in the Olympics as a colored athlete, and people of all races, creeds, and religions cheering for them, just celebrating their athletic ability. I think it's an opportunity for us to focus on what we have in common versus what we don't have in common. And I think the more time we spend on finding those common grounds, the more bridges we build, I think the walls or the barriers come down, and we understand that we're a lot more alike than we are different.
Mm-hmm.
And you can appreciate, and to your earlier point of having empathy for other people's struggle and their plight. And then, we can use sport hopefully to help break down those barriers, increase access to the game for youth, increase access to the game for women and girls, and help shape a more inclusive, welcoming society. And I think sport, especially football, has an opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm really excited about the future of this game for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love that you share that. And I think it's an interesting way to sort of end our conversation around this idea of like diversity is strength. And I know the CFL has that's been a big mantra of some of the programs to build more equity so I love the idea of like that, like our diversity is actually a strength.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt, I want to take a moment to acknowledge you. I want to take a moment to acknowledge you for the great man you are, the great husband, the great dad, the amazing teacher, coach, and mentor, but more importantly, the amazing human being you are, Matt. The one thing that I have definitely come to appreciate in the time we've known each other is how committed you are to providing like these immersive opportunities to introduce our game to others, whether it was the Toronto Bowl, seeing you on the sideline there and being like on the ground, or even you speaking to our Football Toronto community at the awards. Like you have such a passion to give back, to serve others along their journey. It's inspiring to me. So I just want to thank you for that.
Oh no, TJ, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It's humbling to hear that. I'm a product of the people that invested in me. My parents, my coaches, my friends. It's not just me. I know that. And, I really, I'm really grateful for this platform and this stage. And I'm excited about, football in Toronto. I think there's going to be some great things that come of this. The great work that Football Toronto's doing to help, break down some of the barriers, increase access, revitalize some programs. I think that work is super, super important. And I'm really excited about, being able to help, from a global perspective, from the Argonauts, Toronto Argonauts and MLSC, helping to, shape some of this framework and use our influence to, share, storytell. And I think that's something that we can do better. And I think it's something that we have a focus to do, a desire to do, is, share some of these stories of, some of our high school athletes and, the great coaches and the work that they're doing in the community. Because really that's what sport is. 99% of athletes don't play professionally, right? But your best friends, they come from your high school teams, your prep teams, all these different, if it's basketball, hockey, soccer, whatever sport it is, badminton, swimming, like if you're in sport, that some of the best friends you have in life come from the games and the competitions that you have. And those life lessons that we've been talking about are, ever present in every sport. And football is a huge opportunity for us to impact so many lives, teach so many great life lessons, and create so many special moments for so many young athletes. And I'm just really grateful to be able that I've been able to play this game and be involved with it for as long as I have. When I started playing football in high school, I never thought that, my journey would be here. I don't know where it will end, but I am so grateful to be where I am and to have the passion that I do for this game. It's been rewarding. So thank you for allowing me this platform to talk and share my ideas and thoughts. I really appreciate that, and I'm grateful. So thank you for all the work you're doing to help share these stories and spread the message. Because seeing some of the people you've interviewed, and guys like Courtney Stevens, just to see the great work he's doing and telling those stories, I think that is so needed for this game, because we really truly appreciate the impact that it's having. And it's because of people like you that we get to the platform to share and talk about the great things that this game brings to society.
Thank you, brother. I'm going to take a moment just to receive that and thank you. So, folks, Matt dropped so many valuable nuggets of wisdom that will not only help you succeed in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. But as I like to remind you every week in the huddle, knowledge is potential power. It's the consistent and focused application of great knowledge that actually creates great results. So my challenge to you is to take one of these valuable nuggets of wisdom and go apply it to your life today. And as I like to remind you every week in the huddle, you are deserving of greatness. You are worthy of greatness. You are greatness. And my only ask from these conversations is, if it resonated with you, if it touched your heart, then please share it with a friend, a loved one, a teammate, or someone that you feel that just needs to hear these positive, inspiring, empowering ideas. The more people we have listening, understanding, and applying these simple ideas to their life, the more blessed this world will be. As always, look forward to having these conversations with you next time in the huddle. Have a blessed rest of your day, everyone.